In 2003, under the bright lights of the Detroit Auto Show, Cadillac unveiled a car that stunned the world. A machine so bold, so extravagant, it instantly became a legend. The Cadillac 16 wasn't built for the showroom floor. It was built to remind everyone that American luxury could still reign supreme. Nearly 19 feet long, wrapped in sculpted elegance, and powered by a monstrous 1,000 horsepower V16, it was the kind of car that made even European giants step back. Its handcrafted interior rivaled private jets. Its presence commanded silence, and its story became one of the greatest what-ifs in automotive history. This is the rise, the mystery, and the lasting legacy of the Cadillac 16. The year was 2003, and the Detroit Auto Show was buzzing with anticipation. Automakers from around the world had brought their latest creations, but Cadillac had something different, something no one was ready for. When the silk cover was pulled away, there it stood, the Cadillac 16. Towering, elegant, and unapologetically American, it was less a car and more a statement carved in steel and chrome. Nearly 19 feet long, with a hood that seemed to stretch into the horizon, it carried the kind of presence that could silence an entire showroom. Its massive grille glinted under the lights, evoking the grandeur of Cadillac's golden age, while its razor-sharp lines hinted at a future where luxury and power knew no limits. This wasn't a concept designed to test the waters. It was a declaration of dominance. Cadillac wanted the world to remember who once ruled the luxury roads, and this was their proof. But the real jaw-dropper wasn't just its size or styling. Hidden under that endless hood was an engineering marvel. A V16 engine with 1,000 horsepower, the kind of mechanical heart that hadn't been seen in decades. In that single reveal, Cadillac wasn't just showing a car. They were reviving a legend, rewriting the rules, and daring the world to dream bigger. From the moment your eyes traced its silhouette, the Cadillac 16 felt like it belonged to another world. Its design wasn't just big, it was majestic, the kind of presence you'd expect from a car owned by royalty. The proportions were deliberate, a seemingly endless hood, a cabin pushed far back, and a rear that tapered with the grace of a luxury yacht. The massive grille stood tall and proud, wearing the Cadillac crest like a crown, while jewel-like headlights sparkled under the show lights. Every panel, every angle, was sculpted with purpose, blending the opulence of Cadillac's 1930s, the 16 era, with the sharp, modern lines of the 21st century. The doors opened to reveal an interior that looked more like a penthouse than a car, but even from the outside, the 16 whispered luxury in every curve. Its stance was low and commanding, a visual warning that this wasn't a car you simply drove past. It was meant to dominate the road, to remind the world that American luxury could still inspire awe. In a sea of safe, predictable designs, the 16 roared with confidence before its engine even started. This was Cadillac daring to be bold again, and they made sure you felt it from a mile away. Lay the Cadillac 16's most audacious feature, a 13.6-liter V16 engine, a mechanical masterpiece that seemed ripped from a golden era long gone. In a time when most luxury cars were moving towards smaller, more efficient power plants, Cadillac went in the opposite direction, chasing pure, unrestrained power. The numbers were staggering: 1,000 horsepower and 1,000 pound-feet of torque, enough to move its massive frame with the grace of a sports car. But this wasn't raw power for the sake of excess. It was intelligent power. Using displacement-on-demand technology, the engine could seamlessly shut down 8 or even 12 cylinders when cruising, turning that beast into a fuel-conscious cruiser. It was a fusion of brute force and forward-thinking engineering. Each time the ignition came to life, the deep, authoritative growl of 16 pistons firing in harmony felt like a declaration. This was the king of American engines. It wasn't built for racing, it was built to own the road, to glide effortlessly at high speeds with an authority that no V8 or V12 could match. The Cadillac 16 didn't just have an engine, it had a throne room under the hood. Stepping inside the Cadillac 16 was like entering a world where the word budget didn't exist. The cabin was a showcase of pure craftsmanship, every detail hand-finished to perfection. Soft, aromatic leather stretched across sculpted seats that seemed more like armchairs from a private lounge. Rich, polished walnut trim flowed across the dashboard and door panels, interrupted only by crystal accents that caught the light like fine jewelry. Even the gauges were works of art, elegantly analog, framed in brushed metal, evoking the timeless sophistication of classic Cadillacs. The steering wheel felt weighty and regal in your hands, its surfaces stitched with care. Ambient lighting bathed the cabin in a warm, inviting glow, while the rear seats offered limousine-level comfort, complete with generous legroom and the quiet serenity of a soundproofed cocoon. Every surface, every stitch, was designed to make you feel like royalty. This wasn't just a car interior, it was a rolling penthouse, a celebration of American luxury without compromise. It told anyone lucky enough to sit inside that the 16 wasn't just transportation, it was an experience meant to be savored. The Cadillac 16 wasn't created to boost sales the next quarter or to slot neatly into a showroom lineup. It was a statement, loud, confident, and impossible to ignore. General Motors wanted the automotive world to remember that Cadillac was once the standard of the world, and the 16 was their proof. In the early 2000s, European brands like Mercedes, BMW, and Rolls-Royce were dominating the luxury conversation. Cadillac's answer wasn't to follow trends, but to obliterate them. The 16 shouted that America could still produce a machine that matched European elegance and surpassed it in audacity. It represented an era when concept cars weren't just design exercises, but bold declarations of what a brand stood for. The message was clear. Cadillac could still dream bigger than anyone else, and had the engineering muscle to back it up. The 16 was less about practicality and more about reminding the world that luxury wasn't born in Europe. Sometimes it wore an American badge and roared with 16 cylinders. When the Cadillac 16 rolled onto the stage at Detroit, the crowd didn't just applaud, they erupted. Automotive journalists crowded around it, cameras flashing, trying to capture every angle of this jaw-dropping machine. Headlines the next day called it a return to form, an American excess at its finest. Enthusiasts praised its unapologetic size, its throwback nods to Cadillac's V16 heritage, and the sheer audacity of building such a car in an age of downsizing. Celebrities and collectors immediately put in unofficial orders, even though production was never promised. The 16 became a pop culture sensation, appearing in magazines, TV features, and even inspiring video game recreations. But the praise wasn't just about looks or power, it was about attitude. This was Cadillac reclaiming swagger, something the brand had been accused of losing for decades. The 16 wasn't simply a concept car, it was a symbol, and for a brief moment, it had the entire automotive world talking about Cadillac again. For all its beauty and engineering brilliance, the Cadillac 16 faced a harsh reality. The world wasn't ready for it. Producing such a machine would have cost GM an astronomical amount, with a price tag likely exceeding $500,000 per unit. In the early 2000s, Cadillac's lineup was still finding its footing, and a halo car this extravagant risked alienating more buyers than it attracted. Then there was the fuel economy problem. A 13.6-liter V16, even with cylinder deactivation, would have struggled to meet tightening emissions and efficiency standards. Insurance and safety regulations added even more complications. Inside GM's boardrooms, practicality began to outweigh passion. The 16 had done its job. It grabbed headlines, reignited Cadillac's image, and inspired design cues for future models. But when it came to signing off on full-scale production, the decision-makers saw too much risk. And so, the dream was shelved. Not because it wasn't possible, but because it belonged to a world more concerned with spectacle than spreadsheets, a world that no longer existed. Though the 16 never rolled into dealerships, its DNA still flows through Cadillac's modern designs. The bold vertical headlights, the strong shoulder lines, and the imposing grille all became trademarks of Cadillac's design language for years to come. The CTS and CT6 adopted its sharp-edged elegance, while the Escalade embraced its unapologetic presence. Even the push for advanced technology, like magnetic ride control and hybrid systems, echoed the 16's balance of performance and innovation. More than a design influence, it restored Cadillac's confidence. The brand could once again walk into a global conversation about luxury without feeling overshadowed. It reminded their engineers and designers that Cadillac's history wasn't just about building cars, it was about creating rolling statements of ambition. The 16 might have been a one-off, but its spirit lived on, shaping a generation of Cadillacs that carried forward the message it was born to send. In the world of concept cars, the Cadillac 16 stands shoulder to shoulder with legends like the Bugatti EB110 prototype, the Chrysler ME 412, and the Mercedes-Benz F200 Imagination, machines that promise to change the game, but never reach the streets. What sets the 16 apart is its cultural footprint. Many concepts are forgotten after their auto show run, but the 16's boldness kept it alive in car culture for decades. It wasn't just a glimpse of what Cadillac could do, it was proof that they could still outshine anyone when they aimed high enough. Collectors and enthusiasts still speak of it in the same breath as other, what could have been icons, imagining what it would have been like to see one gliding down a highway, EV16 rumbling in the distance. For a car that never sold a single unit, the 16 secured a place in history books, not as a failure, but as a dream too big for its time. Today, the Cadillac 16 exists as a piece of living mythology in the automotive world. The single prototype, carefully preserved, occasionally makes appearances at special events, where it still draws crowds as if it were brand new. Videos of its reveal and engine startup continue to rack up millions of views online, keeping its legend alive for younger generations who never saw it in person. It has inspired custom builders, scale models, and fan renderings imagining a modern revival. In many ways, the 16's absence from production only amplified its mystique. Had it been built, it might have been just another ultra-expensive luxury car for the elite. But as a one-off concept, it became a symbol of unrestrained creativity, proof that automakers can still dream wildly, even if reality gets in the way. For Cadillac fans, it remains the ultimate what if, a reminder that sometimes the greatest cars in history aren't the ones you can buy, but the ones that leave you imagining what could have been.